We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Joining me now is Texas State Senator Bob Hull, a regular guest here. We've had the chance to interview him in person at CPAC. He's also a veteran, former military. We're honored to have him with us. He's an expert on EMP, the grid, and so much more. And he joins us tonight. Senator Bob Hull, thanks for making time for us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's always an honor to be on one of your programs because you talk about real stuff and real problems.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. Thank you for that. I want to talk to you about, I guess, before we get to it, I'll tease it, a major scandal in your Texas lottery system. Is that right?
Yes, sir. There certainly is.
All right, let's talk about that. That's a little hook, folks. Stay tuned. Now,
okay, what we've found is a criminal organization operating within the Texas government.
Okay, hold there, folks. We're going to talk about that. But first, we, as you guys know, have been covering a couple stories. Here's one, Texas under siege. We got a video of an Islamic guy out in front of this mosque bragging over and over. He shows a whiteboard inside the building, apparently, that Tabligh Jamaat is going to be now the headquarters, will be there in Texas. In Garland, the North American headquarters. We have another article, and we've been talking about this now for probably a year now. Epic in Plano, Texas. Of course, the guy running this, the Imam, Yasser Qadi, was just a few miles down the road. And we started talking about him, I think, in 2010, if I remember correctly. But we really got to talking about him in 2017. And this guy is really trouble. So Texas. We're getting a lot of emails and text and phone calls, Senator. A lot of folks are very concerned about what's happening in Texas. Your governor has been saying that this is not going to go through, that this is a real problem, but I don't know if I believe that or not. But what are you hearing? What are you hearing about all of this?
Well, one of the main things is what you just mentioned. Our governor, Governor Greg Abbott, has come out pretty strong statement stating that Texas Sharia law is not legal in Texas as a law. And so any entity that's planning on operating under Sharia law will be shut down. That's basically what he has said. And I do know that our Attorney General is doing an investigation of the operation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm hoping, I like Ken Paxton. I've interviewed him many times, and I do hope they can get to the bottom of it because this thing is pretty concerning. In fact, here he is. The group behind proposed Epic compound may be misleading investors, defrauding Texans will not be tolerated. The Texas State Securities Board is conducting a thorough investigation to ensure Texans are protected. All entities in Texas must follow state law, not Sharia. And he's put out quite a bit about it, as you said. So is we showed the other day a letter from the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton. But I couldn't bring you on without bringing this up because you're from Texas and this has been the news all week. Your personal thoughts on it?
Could say one more thing is we do have a bill that I expect to get through the legislature this section prohibiting foreign ownership of land in Texas.
Nice.
We tried last session and it made it out of the Senate, but not out of the House. But I do expect that there's a little bit different attitude towards it. So it will be preventing ownership of land in Texas by countries that are considered to be enemies of the United States.
Excellent.
And terrorists, such as what's going in Plano, are definitely enemies of Texas.
Excellent. Glad to hear that strong statement. Thank you, Senator. I know our audience and many in Texas will be happy about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about what you have found. It sounds like major corruption in your state criminal enterprise in the state lottery system.
Yes. Whenever you break in the law, it's criminal.
Right.
And our lottery commission has been breaking the law. They even admitted it a couple of weeks back by putting out a press release saying that they were going to change their rules. How this came about, or what we found, was in the previous session in 2023, there was a major win, biggest ever in the Texas lottery, $95 million win. And that kind of surprised people. Wow. And when we looked into it, it turned out that it was being sold from a building up in Collin County, or near Collin County, in a place called Colleyville. And the only thing outside that you could tell what was inside the building was a sign that said "Hooked on Montana." And it turns out that their business was fly fishing trips, tour guides to Montana. And that in itself flew in the face of legislation that had been passed, which established the lottery. And just to give the background there is that when the lottery was first established, there was a great deal of concern of making sure that we didn't have a system that would promote or foster addiction, could not drive people into debt by using credit, and that anyone under 18 could not use the system, could not buy tickets. That was clearly stated in words that were very easy to understand. They prohibited the use of a telephone and required that the only interface for a ticket with a lottery machine would be the paper slip that people filled out themselves by hand. But what we found, and when the question came up, how in the world did this win take place, we found that it was one of $11 million worth of tickets that were sold in this one location in 3.5 days, which I felt was a physical impossibility to process that many tickets. And I had meetings with the Lottery Commission. They tried to explain it, tried to convince me that you could print that many tickets in that time frame, and had no real explanation for $11 million in cash showing up with one buyer at a location, which prompted many people to think money laundering. And so on. And after a lot of discussions about it, I had a bill that would have prohibited the continuing use of these, what they call couriers. And they described this as these are folks that use an app on the telephone where people can buy through a courier who then goes into the store and buys the ticket for them in person. And that would meet their criteria that you could only purchase a ticket in a brick and mortar facility, such as a 7-Eleven or a racetrack or a convenience store that had a lottery machine. It had to be in person. It had to be with cash or a debit card, no credit cards, and no wire transfers. And none of those was possible in this situation. It seemed like just something was amiss. So I had a bill that would have ended the courier operation, go back to just having people walk in to the facility and buy a ticket. The bill got out of the Senate unanimously, died in the House, but I put a rider on our budget bill, which is a term that's used for giving instructions to agencies on how they can spend their money. And so my rider said you can't spend your money on these courier services. You have to shut them down. The problem was they just ignored that. They just They said they were told to ignore it. They never said who told them to ignore it, but they did, and they kept operating. And so when we had the hearing in finance, one of the first hearings we had this session, we started that conversation over again and asking them about it. But this time we had some new folks that showed up for the hearing, an attorney and a watchdog that had worked for the lottery and had been watching their operations, an attorney that's involved in a lawsuit with an organization that claimed they had lost or been conned out of $2.7 million as a part of that $11 million buy. And they brought a ton of evidence about how much more expansive the operation was. What they brought and told us was that this one location in Colleyville was just one of several that operated around the state. Matter of fact, it was just one of 4 that were involved in that big win that took place back in April of 23. And there were 3 others, and they were set up by the Lottery Commission when they sent out orders to their contractor, which is a company called IGT, that did all their logistics work, delivered machines, repaired the machines, hooked them up, made sure everything was running, and they got paid based on the volume of tickets sold. So it had an incentive to have everything working. Well, the order they received was to deliver roughly 60 machines to 4 different locations that week. And they did. They delivered them, set them up, and they were operating in time. And each one of them, and it turns out that the changes that the Lottery Commission had made in their rules starting back in 2015, a rule change here and a rule change there, completely changed how the lottery system would work. They moved away from a paper-only interface by allowing telephones with QR codes to interface with a lottery machine. The system was set up with the couriers who had no way of determining the age of the person buying the ticket.
Oh, wow. And
you no longer had to go into the brick and mortar facility to buy it. What had also happened was they had allowed the development of QR codes to be used with the phone. So it was totally different as we learned that these 4 locations, 3 of them owned by the same organization, and one of them did not even have a retail license. It had a license that had expired, and it didn't have a bank account. And so they divided up in these locations where they had somewhere between 10 and 12 lottery machines. The algorithm that was developed by an outfit called Spinola in Malta, which would generate 12,800,000 possible combinations of the 9 numbers. That got them all. And they could enter those into the machine using their telephones. And they did this, sold all of them. And the one location that actually had the winning ticket, turned out it was the one that had an expired retail license that was quickly reissued to them. But when the comptroller made the sweep of the bank accounts like it does every Wednesday, there was no money. And so they called them and they said, oh, we can take care of that. We'll send you a wire transfer. So they did. They sent them a wire transfer from it. And nobody ever questioned it. Nobody thought a thing about this whole operation, even though it was made public, but nobody seemed to pay attention to it. And it turned out that there was additional evidence being presented. One of the things that a lot we'd heard had no evidence tied to it, but this time they brought information that they had gotten from the telephone of one of the people that had been involved with coordinating this whole thing with the folks within the Lottery Commission. He was in Florida. He'd been in jail a few times, got pardoned by Obama, and had sent a lot of text messages out that we later got. But it included a short video that showed one of these lottery operations where underage kids were actually operating the lottery machines, and an explanation of how it came about happening that it was put together. And so that sparked the interest of digging into it even more. And we ended up getting, what happened when the guy died, his children said, you know, our dad, he was into a lot of stuff, and we know he had a lot of money, but we don't know where it is. We can't find it. And by that time, the lawsuit was going on with the church that had been swindled out of $2.7 million. And they gave the attorney his phone and said, can you help us see if there's anything on here? Well, it was a treasure trove of text messages and photos and all kinds of information that they sent to us. Matter of fact, the string of text messages between him and people within the Lottery Commission and with the folks running the so-called courier services, when I printed it out, it was almost 2 inches thick on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that talked about setting this whole operation up.
So how long is this? How much do you think how many millions have been scammed from this, and how long has this been going on?
We don't know for sure how long it's been going on. We know that the Texas Rangers are investigating it now. But there was much more to it. That wasn't the only thing. We discovered as a part of that one of the employees of one of the courier operations had actually won the lottery himself. You'd think one or two or three times would kind of be unusual. Well, he won it 142 times.
Whoa.
142 times.
What was the total? How much money?
Well, two of them were $50,000 pots back to back, and then a lot of other small ones. So it amounted to a pretty good hunk of money. But the thing about it is, in addition to the swindle job they did with the 4 locations printing all of the numbers, each one of them got their percentage for the sale of the tickets, and then they got the bonus for having sold the winning ticket. So they made a great deal of money. But in uncovering this, we found spurious things that here and there, such as $1 million check that was paid out to someone in China who had bought it from China, the ticket, and then they sent him a check for it. And it was questionable about how in the world they ever got him to sign the ticket. That had a whole story behind it of whether he actually signed the ticket. But flew in the face of action the Lottery Commission had taken back in 2015 when we had a policeman from New Jersey that called up and bought 2 tickets over the phone, over his telephone, and one of them hit for $10 million. And the Lottery Commission refused to pay him because he used a telephone to buy it. They finally settled it. We went to court and bounced back and forth, and they finally settled on paying him some limited amount. We don't know exactly what that is. But then we found another wire transfer that hadn't been explained yet of about $700,000 that went to someone in the Netherlands. And then we found an operation had been set up where they were selling Texas lottery tickets in the Dominican Republic and in Europe.
Okay, so I have been reading off and on now for a while, rumors. I mean, they're just rumors. I have no fact.
Yeah.
But I've been reading off and on for a little bit now that a lot of these lotto tickets and lotto systems are being rigged by the CIA for the CIA to launder and use it for dark op projects and whatnot. Have you seen anything with the deep state or the intelligence arena?
While I would kind of believe almost anything now, that has not come up. That has not been part of anything that we have found yet. But we have found just an incredible amount of bad behavior, and the fact that what happened could not have happened by just smart people on the outside figuring out a way to beat the system. It had to have been set up from the inside. There was no other way. There was no way they could get those machines without the direct. And I have copies of the orders that were sent from the Lottery Commission to IGT to go set up these machines.
Do you think this is going on in other state lotteries?
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Exactly.
It was a piece of cake for them to do because nobody paid any attention to what they were doing. To do it, they actually wrote rules that were 180 degrees opposite of what the legislation that they set them up told them to do. They were specifically told no telephones can be used. They set it up to have telephones used. Specifically told you have to have a system that assures underage folks cannot buy tickets. They changed that with using the telephone. There were to be no wire transfers. They allowed wire transfers. There were to be no group purchases. This was a huge group. This was coordinated with people in Europe, and who knows? We don't know where all it was coordinated with, but we do know that the Texas people have been ripped off, had millions of dollars stolen from them with this operation. The people in the Lottery Commission not just knew about it, but it could not have been done without them setting it up for it to happen.
Are any of those people like fleeing their job and fleeing the country, or are being deposed yet under oath?
I don't know. It's in the hands of the Rangers. They're now doing the investigation. I took it as far as I could take it. When I had the hearing on the bill, I reintroduced the bill to end the lottery. This was before I knew all of what I just told you about. I mean, not to end it, but to stop the couriers. And once I heard what happened, we learned in the Senate hearing, I was ready to just file a bill to end it. But our Lieutenant Governor talked me into taking a step at a time, and we went ahead and filed a bill for ending them. But by the time we held the hearing, there was another big win of about $84 million from a facility right near the Capitol. So our Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, who was really upset this was going on, went down to it, took a film crew with him, and then went in and filmed what he could, what they would allow him to film. But in that facility, in the back room, they had 44 in one location, 44 lottery machines that they were operating in there.
I think I found the video. I was researching a little bit while you were talking. I think I found it. Let's play this.
This is the location of Winner's Corner, where someone won $83 million on a Texas lottery ticket. And I had a question because Winner's Corner is also affiliated with a courier service who purchased the ticket. It's Jack Pocket is the name of the courier service. Winner's Corner is the name of the retail outlet. Both affiliated or owned by DraftKings. It looked like your normal place you buy lottery tickets. It is supposed to be a commercial establishment that sells everything. You have to sell something. Well, it looks like they sell some games. Some games.
Mark.
Hey, Mark. Nice to meet you. Are you the manager?
I am the manager here.
So help me understand, because we're looking at the lottery now in the legislature because they're up for sunset, which means they have to be renewed. So you sold an $83 million ticket yesterday. Was that through a courier?
Yes.
It was through a courier. Okay. And did the courier buy lots of tickets? Bring lots of tickets, or
they don't
one?
give us individual details.
Okay.
We just process tickets here.
But did you process a lot from him? Were you here?
I don't know. They don't tell us customer information or anything like that. Okay. They don't let us give out any information. I do have a media contact for y'all.
Okay,
if you would like to reach out to them.
A lawyer will probably be better, but we'll see. But anyway, my question is, so how do you know it was a courier then?
We are a courier.
You're a courier?
Yes.
So the courier owns the store? The gentleman we met behind the counter was just doing his job, but he said he couldn't answer any more questions unless we talked to their attorney. After about 10 minutes, I did talk to one of the attorneys.
Winner's Corner is a licensed retailer by the Lottery Commission, and Jack Pocket, who is my client, is the courier service, and they take the orders and then purchase from Winner's Corner. I don't know if they purchase from other retailers, but they are a licensed retailer by the Lottery Commission.
But do you see, Jay, an issue? And as you know, as a lawyer, you all are up for sunset. I mean, you aren't up for sunset, but the Lottery Commission is. Do you not see an issue where the public might lose confidence if the courier service somehow happened at this one location in the entire state of Texas, sold an $83 million winning ticket, and they also own the location that printed the ticket?
They bought the ticket on behalf of the individual that won.
Right.
And that's just, I do understand the concern.
Just to conclude, DraftKings bought Jack Pocket. Jack Pocket owns the retail, and Jack Pocket is the courier. And it just so happens, and coincidences happen, strange things happen all the time, but a winning ticket, one of the biggest lottery prizes ever, was sold at this store to a courier for $83 million.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you know that the intent of the law, when it was passed, the lottery law, it was to be a commercial location. You know, selling a lot of products. Your typical stop-and-go store. Well, this just sells games. They sell games and lottery tickets. Do you think that meets the letter of the law or the spirit of the law?
That's a tough one, because I agree with you, Lieutenant Governor, that the law requires a retailer to sell multiple things.
All right, well, hold it there. This is like a major story. Why am I just hearing about it when I called you today about the mosque, and I said, is there anything else you want to talk about? And you said, well, I got a big story here. And what you told me was enough to say, yeah, we want to talk about that. But now we've had a chance to really visit about it, this is a huge story. This is almost like worthy of a movie.
Oh yeah, well, they lied to us because they continuously said we have no authority to make the change. We have no authority to make the change, and that they said that under oath.
To make what change?
We had no authority to get rid of the couriers.
And just so the audience understands, you say couriers. Like if I want to have something sent over here from my office to my attorney, I call up a courier service, and they come pick it up and take it to him. All right, is that what you're talking about?
No. Well, it's a little bit different. It's more like you're getting something from Starbucks, and that you just pick up your phone, you go to their app, you make your pick on the app, and you've set up with them how you're going to pay for it. But on that, so you use your app and you pay them for the ticket. Then they go in and pick up the ticket for you, and send you back the receipt that they got the ticket. And then if you have the winning number, then they go in and pick up your prize for you.
Whoa. So they never bring me the ticket. So if I went on my phone and said, okay, I want to buy a Texas lottery ticket, and I pay for it through this app, they go in and buy the ticket for me, so I don't have to walk into the, gas station and buy one.
Right.
Do they ever bring me the ticket?
They're supposed to actually bring you the ticket. I have never bought one from them. I've never been involved in it, so I don't know what extent that they actually do that piece of it. Mm-hmm. But the point is they use a telephone when they do this, and I'll tell you there's a lot more information if you would go to watch the committee hearing in Health and Human Services. We'll send you a link to it where I laid out a very lengthy layout for the bill that basically started with, I'm going to tell you how this happened. That was the floor.
Okay.
In there.
I'm on your X account.
Okay. So.
Where do I go? Any idea?
You got to go to the state website.
Oh, the state website. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and you'd have to find the committee, a link to the committee. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick.
Well, that's okay. We can direct the audience to it later, and even put unless you can find it while I ask you questions. But so I just want to go back to this courier service again, because I was thinking it was like what I use couriers for, so I don't have to drive across town to get a signed document to my attorney. This company, are you telling me, is set up for one reason only? Is that to buy lottery tickets?
That is their front. See, that's the front. The front side of it is to sell lottery tickets using the telephone.
Is it well known in Texas? Hey, there's a company where you can buy your lottery tickets?
Yeah, there are people that play it. Yep, that part's well known. That is just a front, because they have these machines that there's no real control over people providing money, which is what happened in that big buy in April of 23, in which there was really, it was kind of like fake money that was being put up by folks from multiple sources, and they just printed 12,800,000 tickets in the 4 locations in a coordinated effort, so nobody printed the same number twice.
But was money changing hands for those tickets?
Not really. There was money there in some cases, and in one case, like the place where the win was, they didn't even have a bank account. They were just pretending to be doing it and printed the tickets.
That place where the lieutenant governor just went Were there machines there?
He was at a different facility.
Right.
We've since learned that there are about 10 of those in the state of Texas that do nothing but the courier service, where they have anywhere from 5 to 44 lottery machines.
That was my next question. So it's one of those locations where they might have 44 machines printing lotto tickets.
Right.
Are they doing enough traffic to justify 44 machines?
Well, I don't see how they do that. I mean, we are still working on getting to the details of specifically how they are doing that and making money. What the thing that has come out is that somewhere in the whole process, it has to be is being used for money laundering.
And who would be laundering money? Drug money, sex trafficking money,
cartels. Anybody that has ill-game money that they can't own up to without getting in trouble, but if they can wave, hey, the thing was, hey, I wagered $11 million.
I won a lottery ticket.
But I only won $3 million. But I won $3 million. I had $11 million. They couldn't use, but now they got $3 million they can use and own up to it. That appears to be one of the major reasons, part of it.
Are you, am I the only one sitting here thinking you're treading in dangerous territory, Senator?
Well, I will tell you, I am not suicidal, and I'm a good shot, but I'm not good enough to shoot myself in the head twice.
So it has crossed your mind that you are treading in potentially cartel territory.
No, we definitely are, and no question about that.
Thank you also for bringing the story to me. I appreciate it.
No. If you
we're all fine. I'm just joking, but seriously, this is organized crime. This is.
Yes.
I mean, this is either cartel, it's mafia, or now we find out about all the money laundering and scam our own federal government's involved in with USAID. Again, I go back to how do we know we don't have some rogue intel agency fooling around and laundering dark money for whatever nefarious things they want to fund, color revolutions and who else. But whoever you're dealing with here, they're very powerful. They obviously have a lot of money. They're very organized and they're very powerful. This is not something being run by, some college kids out of their basement.
No. This is folks who really know what they were doing. It took them months or years to get all the parts in place. And if you look at the press release that came out of the Lottery Commission the morning of our hearing, an hour before we had the hearing, they came out with a press release listing 13 rule changes that they were changing back to be consistent with the law, doing what I've been accusing them of doing that they had denied they had done. All of a sudden, they were going to change those back
to become compliant with the law.
Right. And when we ask them about, well, who's giving you the authority or telling you to do this or not do it, the director pointed to the commissioners and the commissioners pointed to the directors. So we kind of had a circular firing squad between those folks in trying to determine who was really responsible for what their actions were. And
how is your media reporting on this? Is your media?
There's a number of them out there. If you go to a Texas Scorecard, Daniel Greer has had a really good summary already, and he's got another one coming out on it. I've interviewed with New York Times, Dallas Morning News, Washington Post, and several TV stations on it, and they've mentioned it. And we have moved.
Wow, there it is, Texas Scorecard. The expanding scam of the Texas Lottery, which, by the way, they're also, let's see here, they're also on to, if I can go back to the head, they're also on to state investigating Muslim compound for fair housing violations. That's today. So that story is getting traffic.
Yes.
This is a big story, and I want to come back to this in closing. This has got to be going on in other states. Why, if this is working so well in Texas, why would you not be doing this in other states?
Well, I know why I'm not, because I got my hands full in Texas.
No, not you. But the people involved. If it's working for them so well in Texas, why would this group or affiliated groups not do this in other states?
I have no doubt that there probably is, because this all started when we went with taking on the national lottery with the Powerball. That's when we started seeing these changes being made in expanding it. So it's
well, I hate to say I told you so to the pro lottery people, but I did a commentary for a Fox affiliate here in the Mid-South, probably around 2006. I did a Fox affiliate when we were talking about doing a state lottery, which we did. And I listed some of the reasons why it's a stupid idea, that all you're doing is encouraging people, many of them who can't afford to gamble, that, here in our state, it supposedly goes to education. A lot of these kids don't, a lot of these people, the money that goes to the kids from the money that comes from the lottery, they got to go to state schools, and they got to stay so long, and the whole thing is a mess. When you end up investigating it, it's a mess. And I am not for the states encouraging people to gamble, because as the studies show, most of the people that end up suffering are the people that can at least afford to gamble.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the same thing. Lottery was sold, and the idea is going to pay for education. Well, by golly, in Texas, it brings in about $1.9 billion a year. You know how much education, public education, that pays for?
How much?
3 calendar days out of the year. 3 calendar days. That's it. That's all it pays for. But here's the thing is really concerning. In the hierarchy of gambling, you can start right it down at the bottom of the most benign, bingo. Bingo is part of the Lottery Commission. Bingo is really something that doesn't have a lot of money tied to it. It doesn't have a lot of, it's kind of like a eyes-on, hands-on kind of thing going on real time, and is probably as benign as it gets. Right above that is the idea of the lottery. You simply pick the 9 numbers, the order of numbers, numbers that yourself, and then there's a drawing with ping pong balls that are carefully guarded and weighed and tested and so on like that, which you'd say, well, that says as little chance for somebody to mess with it as possible. And then, but you see what we have. But then right above that, as you rise in the complexity of gambling, you start having sports betting, you have internet betting, and then you have casinos all over the state. Great opportunity for this kind of fraud to engulf the state.
Absolutely.
Totally engulf it as it expands it. And so I think if we are fortunate enough, the number one casualty of all of this will be statewide gambling for Texas.
Yeah, it should be outlawed.
I was aware of it, but Sands out of Las Vegas bought the Mavericks, bought a big place in Irving, and has been investing millions of dollars to turn Texas into a gambling state. And it looks like that may be something that does not happen in the near future, to the chagrin of some people. But others that have been supportive of it, as they realized the corruption that's in lottery, that they don't want this coming in with the corruption that will go naturally with a statewide gambling operation.
Absolutely. I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, America's greatest enemy next to the federal government is ourselves.
Oh yeah,
we are our own great. I mean, if Islam and the rest will just wait around, we'll eventually destroy ourselves with apathy, passivity, greed. We'll eventually just destroy ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. I've said it many times when working on a bill. If it wasn't for the people, we wouldn't have to write this bill. And that's what it is. But it's generally a small number of people causing a problem that ends up with a bill that affects a lot of people.
Right. But how many people, if they voted on it in your state, how many people were in favor of the lottery? I don't know if you guys voted on it or not.
I think it was very popular.
Exactly.
Nobody was concerned about it. Everybody thought, oh, that's okay. It's not a big deal. It was like, okay, it was under the radar of everybody.
Yep. And when I did my commentary in the Fox affiliate here in the Mid-South, when they were talking about it in our state, I was the minority, warning about why this is a bad idea. So you're right. And so I go back to what I say. At the end of the day, we, the American people, are our own worst enemy because we don't think, we don't use reason and logic and context and say, hey, how could this go south on us? How could this damage families? How could this end up hurting us as a society? All they heard is how they're going to spend all this money on education, and you're saying the lottery only funding 3 calendar days in a given year. So what a joke that's turned out to be. All right, you're going to come back and give us an update?
Yes, anytime you want me to. I can certainly do that. I'm about to send you. I'm trying to get it to go. I've got the committee hearing that you might want to include in.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put it over send it to me, and I'll post it at worldviewreport.com. Worldview Report's our daily aggregated news site. I'll post it over later tonight at worldviewreport.com where people can go watch it.
Okay, there it went. Just send it to you.
Okay, and will you let me know if there's any updates to come on? Because I want to follow this story, and let's see if this is also going on somewhere else. I want to know who's behind it, right?
Right. Well, I think we'll eventually find, because we do have the Rangers are investigating.
Yeah, the Sinaloa network, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there is a number of things that the folks that know more about some of these things pointed out to me. That $1 million ticket in which we sent the instrument, the ticket over to China for the person to sign. We broke a U.S. law and a China law because it was a negotiable unit that was worth $1 million. And when they sent it back, they broke the China law and the U.S. law with that just by sending the document back and forth. And by the way, this was a ticket that was kept in one of the lottery.com's employees' desk drawer for several months while they were trying to find the actual owner of it. And then they sent an employee in to retrieve it and to send it to China. And that's a whole nother story, because he had a hard time getting FedEx and DHL to take it because they wanted to be able to insure the ticket, and they had to put the amount of the insurance on the outside, and they didn't want to do that. So they finally sent the thing over there. And nobody's really sure who actually may have signed that ticket. That's a point of question.
Well, and of course, then you have and I'm just again guessing, if it says the Sinaloa network, well, they already reportedly having a relationship with the CCP to get their precursor chemicals for their fentanyl. So you already have a connection between China, CCP, and some of the drug cartels. I don't know if there's any connection, but I just find that interesting.
I think we're going to find a lot of interesting connections in this thing when it finally, if it is allowed to go all the way with the investigation.
Why would it not be allowed?
I have no idea, but I just keep my finger crossed. One thing, we're in Travis County in Texas, and Travis County is not known for really prosecuting crime to the fullest. They have I'm not even sure they have locks on their jail doors.
Wow. Yeah, and yet we're told Texas is this great conservative, wonderful state that is, come move to Texas and have freedom, and yet they're not even prosecuting crime in some counties like they should.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. And I'll just throw you another one out. You might want to look in or follow and see what comes out of it. But we just had 4 Harris County sheriffs commit suicide, all within a couple of weeks of each other.
Okay, I had that story up on my website or my screen last night to talk about and ran out of time. So so go ahead, tell me about that one.
That's all I know. I just learned about it myself, and I just figured there is something there, because the odds the odds of that happening are greater than the odds of winning the lottery.
Well, there it is right there. Okay. It's going to take me to another website. Oh, they want me to buy something and click on. There we go. All this advertising they throw up. All right. A troubling trend. 4 former current HCSO deputies take their own lives in 6 weeks. Yeah, what is the probability of that?
Right.
Harris County. Yep.
I think at least one of them was still active sheriff, young.
Yep.
Oh.
Wow. All right, Senator, keep your head on a swivel, and please, please let me know when you can come back and give us an update, will you? In the meantime, how do people get to your website? SenatorBobHall.com?
That's right, SenatorBobHall.com.
SenatorBobHall.com. And when are you up for re-election?
This next cycle.
So November?
No, be in 26.
26.
Election be in 26.
November 26. All right.
So this is running to the end of my third term, and it'd be up. Start running in June. We'll be out of session. We're in session right now, and as you know, Texas legislature only meets every 2 years for 140 days. You know, Will Rogers said that no man's life, liberty, or property is safe when the legislature's in session. So I suggested that maybe what we ought to meet is every 140 years for 2 days.
There you go. SenatorBobHall.com,
Yes,
SenatorBobHall.com. Please keep me posted on this.
God bless you. Thank you for following this.
No, thank you. Fascinating story. Folks, I'm going to put the link that he just sent me at worldviewreport.com tonight so you can watch the video. Worldviewreport.com. What you bet this is going on in other states, right? Wow. What a interview there. All right, before we sign off tonight, folks, remember that was another long format interview brought to you by you. What I need you to do right now, folks, is go over to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Surely you can use some of these products. I know you can use the Swift, that's the new meat, detox your cells. The glutathione, that's amazing, powerful, detox your cells. We got the Bella Grace, we got the Elixir, we got the Gatatana, which is wonderful for your body. Protein, beta carotene, amino acids, the trace minerals, so many important things for your body. Get a subscription to this, to the Bella Grace, to the Numi, to the Gatatana. If you want to get your medications, your emergency medical kit like I have several of these. Remember when I got pneumonia last year? Didn't have to go to the doctor. Just Melissa pulled out the amoxicillin. I was too sick to go to the doctor, to be honest with you. I'm serious. I hadn't been that sick in a long time. But I didn't have to go anywhere because we have our own meds, all right? So again, if there's an emergency, and don't forget, China makes a lot of our pharmaceuticals. So if there's an issue with Taiwan and China, I don't know what you think they might do. You might want to go ahead and get your own meds by going to worldviewhealthcare.com. You'll also find it at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. That'll open up the page. You can even join their wellness plans. Get free prescriptions. The Elite gets you free prescriptions and free supplements. There's the emergency medical kits. It's all there. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. So check it all out. Of course, one of the biggest ways to support us, folks, is our foundation. Where is it? Where's the foundation? Where's the foundation, Logan? There it is at almost the top. Not quite. Third. It moves around? Really? That is interesting. I'm glad you told me that because I felt like the banners were moving on me. Well, there you go. It's not just me then. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. All right, roll the music. Let's call it a night. Hey, Lord willing, I'll be back here Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central for teaching through the book of Revelation, chapter 14. Should we go to the dolly cam, Logan? Let's call it a week. Uh-oh, someone's got an itch. Oh, she sees herself on the big screen up there. What a beautiful dog that is, Dolly. Whew, that's a pretty dog. All right, yes, you're distracted by your beauty, aren't you? All right, take a big stretch. All right, that's our broadcast. May God save America. Take care.